Okay, let's understand the word feminism first. The word feminism is not derived, as sometimes we think, from the word feminine. In fact, feminine in many ways would be quite the opposite of feminist. Feminism word comes from a French word, femme, F-E-M-M-E, femme meaning woman. Feminism meant one thing in the 17th century when the word was first used, and it means something quite different today. In the 21st century, it can be and is articulated differently in different parts of the world by different groups of women. Within a country also, there are different meanings given to this concept of feminism. And the different meanings depend on the class, caste, race, etc. of the men and women who are using this concept. Even among similar kinds of women, there can be different debates going on where feminists are disagreeing with each other, particularly with regard to the reasons or the historical roots of feminism. Why did patriarchy start? People disagree on that. And there is also disagreement how we are going to resolve these problems of patriarchy and inequality. So there are different meanings, and I think it's good for all of us to understand the different nuances and meanings of feminisms in our countries. So what is feminism? Very simply speaking, I could say, feminism is looking at the world through women's eyes. And if you look at the world through women's eyes, you are looking at the world through the eyes of the most exploited, the most excluded, and the most oppressed. Because amongst the poor, women are the poorest. Amongst the Dalits, they are the most Dalit. Amongst the blacks, women are more excluded than the black men. When we see the world through the women's eyes, only then we get a perspective of the totally marginalized, the excluded, and the oppressed. Another simple definition of feminism given in the book Between Rhetoric and Activism by Susanna Krantz is an awareness of women's oppression and exploitation in society, at the place of work, and within the family, and action to change this situation. A black feminist, Bell Hooks, has a similar definition. According to her, feminism is a movement to end sexism, sexist exploitation, and oppression. And I'm sure you know that sexism is when you discriminate on the basis of the sex of a person. According to this simple and rather broad definition, anyone, a woman or a man, who recognizes the existence of sexism or discrimination based on sex, who recognizes male domination and patriarchy, and who takes some action against it, is a feminist. Simple, no? Feminists recognize that simply because women are women, innumerable women all over the world experience discrimination and unequal treatment in terms even of basic food, nutrition, health services, education, employment, and participation in decision making in social, cultural, religious, political, and economic institutions. All because they are women. This happens to them. From this definition, it is clear that a mere recognition of exploitation of women, their exclusion, is not enough. Yes, I recognize. That's only half of what feminism is. The other half is that you have to take some action to challenge this situation of exploitation, exclusion, oppression of women. So recognition and action to challenge what you recognize and what you see. But this action can take any form. There is no prescribed form of what action will make you a feminist. For instance, a woman's decision not to be humiliated, not to accept insults, or to educate herself in a society where women are not educated, to pursue a career, or her refusal to use parda or to cover her body, or her decision not to get married very early, or not to have children when other people are telling her to have children. These are all feminist actions, as relevant as the most organized of struggles. In other words, you don't have to join feminist organizations, belong to women's organizations to be a feminist, or to change patriarchal norms. But of course, if you do join ongoing struggles and women's movement and organizations, change will come faster. So friends, these simple definitions make amply clear that feminism is not anti-men. Feminism is anti-discrimination. It is against patriarchy. It is against sexism. It is definitely not against all men. Many men have been our partners in our struggles against patriarchy and sexism. According to these definitions, men can be and are feminists. I accept these broad definitions and have always accepted men who challenge patriarchy as my partners for gender equality, as feminists.